don't have any slides, I'm not that well organised. I'm not actually a developer or an engineer, so I'm not technically, qualified to talk about what's really going on within the Stacks network. So I thought I'd just be biographical and talk about my journey to Stacks. And so we started. I'm actually a musician, and I was a tour manager back in 2011, and I actually heard about Bitcoin on a tour bus, and back on the bus there was a photographer showing off some weed that he bought from someone off the internet, which of course I was like, that's you cut. What do you do? How did you find it off the internet? So I went home and read the white paper, and I think quite quickly I realised that that remittance was going to be a really big deal for this. The idea of the poorest people in the world, unbanked, being able to send money to their families when they're working overseas, and that was really what we set out to change. So my partner and I is at the Macro International. We, I think around 2012, we decided that we were going to import the first Bitcoin ATM to the UK, which we actually did in 2014. So we got a big, it was a big, looks like an actual bank machine. It's a two-way machine, so you could buy Bitcoin, you could also sell Bitcoin and take the cash out. And we did a demonstration, which was really, really cool, with some guys in Australia who had an ATM, and we sort of demonstrated in a cafe in Brighton how it was possible to, I think I got the guys to lend me $20, and so they put $20 into their machine. I showed everyone my wallet, and it appeared on the wallet, and I took out £10 from the ATM. So so initially that was where things begun for us, was with this ATM, and that was really to learn about Bitcoin, being that we're not technical at all, just passionate about doing things to help the world. And so I think it was probably 2015. I think we met someone called Mike Cohen, who's actually one of the core developers in Stacks. Does anyone know Stacks? Have many people heard of Stacks? See a few nodding heads. So yeah, it was around 2015 that I met this guy, Mike Cohen, who told me about Blockstack, as it was known at the time. It wasn't called Stacks back then. It was the first token that was released as a sort of declared security, so it actually got the SEC clearance to actually do a private sale to raise its money. And so I think I was aware that this was going on. I think Mike Cohen said to me, there's this thing, Ethereum is kind of coming out, everyone's going to go really mad for it, you can do all this crazy stuff. Of course, I was looking at my old job as a tour manager and just thinking about amazing things I could do with smart contracts, instant payments, people walking off stage by the time you go on the bus, you've been paid. All of that sort of stuff was very exciting, but he just sowed the seed saying, we should be doing this on Bitcoin, right? And so I think at that point, even though I didn't understand the bigger picture, I think I did appreciate the security that you would get if you did actually anchor your smart contracts to Bitcoin. So I think we kept in touch, and then it was probably around late 2020 that he showed me the first smart contract. So Stacks uses a language called Clarity, which is a new coding language. So we were actually working completely in the dark. We were producing smart contracts for the new language. We had no idea what we were doing. Our initial collection, though, we got Fatboy Slim, Cara Delevingne, Dave Stewart from Eurythmics, Orbital, the electro band, and Chemical X, and we managed to get them to do the Genesis collection, is what it's called. So it was the first collection of music and video that was minted on Stacks and then auctioned on Stacks. In fact, Cara Delevingne's NFT was the first one to sell. And so that began our journey in Stacks, but our original contracts, they don't have any of the SIPs built into them. So it's like one of these things that we're slowly picking our way through, because the Stacks ecosystem has exploded. From a time when we were the only people there's now probably thousands of different projects now that we're all working. So it's been quite a journey seeing it all sort of come together. But that's kind of biographically, that's how we kind of got here. I don't know if anyone has any other questions about it, because I don't have anything else prepared. So if anyone wants to Yeah, go for it.
You still use physical ATMs? You still deal with it?
I've still got it, but they're kind of illegal now, aren't they? You know, when we got it, it was, you know, no one knew what it was. We found this cafe in Brighton who was good enough to take it in. You know, at the time there was no regulation whatsoever, so it was really nice. And in fact, when the regulations started coming in, I think one of my banks said you have to ask for passports for every transaction. At that point, you know, it just didn't seem right. So it's kind of gone into my lockup ever since then. It's ready for a museum. But it was a great thing to do to learn. You know, for someone non-technical, you know, the idea of I remortgaged my house. I think it was £20,000. I think we spent to get that ATM. So it was a big commitment. But I think I felt that something important was happening, so it was worthwhile. So you had a question?
You said something about SIP stand that I just couldn't have no idea what that.
What does SIP stand for? Improvement protocol. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So it's basically just your standardisation protocols. And so when we first came out with our first contract, I mean, there was nothing. I don't know if we actually led to some of them because we had just produced a contract, and obviously some people would have then copied elements of our contract. But yeah, there was nothing at that point. In fact, our first contract, I think we put it out and then we realised that there was an error in it, and actually people, whoever had the very first copy, could actually create multiples of it. But these were the things we had to just go through to learn about how to do it. I think the thing that made things difficult for us at the beginning was that we were very set on non-custodial solutions. That was kind of our big thing. A lot of the other marketplaces, when they first arrived, they went straight for the custodial solution because it's very easy. It was a rod for our back in the end. It was very difficult. We had to go away and have a little think about. This is number one, is the company, and we're predominantly an art platform. You know, we look after lots of artists. We're not really a marketplace, more of a curated gallery. You know, we pick high quality artists. But so we had to have a had to go back and have a think about that, because technically we ended up spending so much of our time worrying about these technical issues that we couldn't really look after our artists and try to do that side of things. So we then, Gamma is the big central marketplace on Stacks, and so we then, they gave us access to their API so that we could stop worrying so much about the technical stuff and worry more about continuing to bring good quality artists into the network.
Yes, from the self-custodial point, that artists and users are both kind of want to be self-custodial, or the artists you kind of manage them?
It's all self-custodial now. I mean, it's all self-custodial. I think it's just the initial marketplace has had a contract that if you wanted to list your NFT, you would send it into the contract. I mean, it was interesting hearing about, you know, liquidity. I think all these new markets, we all have the same problems with, you know, there's very little liquidity there. So yeah, it's quite a good thing to collaborate really with these things.
Hi, did you get any feedback from your artists that you're speaking to about the correlation to Bitcoin, you know, the environmental impact of their fan base will be?
We did initially, yes. I mean, Orbital had a bit of a crisis with it towards the end. And I think it was because right as we launched that collection, I've forgotten about this. Right as we launched the Genesis collection, it was the same night that Elon Musk tweeted. You know, we built up for this for 6 months, but these are the first, you know, multimedia Bitcoin NFTs. It's so exciting, and then literally I think it was an hour before we launched that happened, and everything just crashed, which was quite disastrous. And I think some of them then started saying what Elon Musk was saying, which I was saying to them, look, this guy runs the biggest battery company in the world. If anyone understands what Bitcoin really is, it's him. I don't believe he's being genuine. And it did actually have a very disastrous impact on the Chinese miners, for example. So maybe it was a clever thing to say there's no such thing as green Bitcoin, even though we knew there was, the world didn't. And so by him saying there's, you know, Bitcoin's bad, I'm going to create green Bitcoin, it's quite clever. But yeah, I had a lot of explaining to do with it, but luckily I think I got through most.